Hi, good evening. It's Sarah Jennings of Dare to Be, and today I am going to talk about, well, the frequently asked questions that people have asked me thousands of times over the last 4 years or so, and I have created, it's on my website actually, it's www.withsarahj, withsarahj.com/FAQ. Yay, simple. Hi Alex, how are you doing? Nice to see you on here. I'm on a roll. Okay, so the frequently asked questions, I'm just gonna read them through, and if you guys have any extra questions about aura transformation and what it's all about, crystal children, indigo children, karma, dharma, consciousness expansion, the whole lot, higher selves, being grounded, 5D, 3D, what's it all about? Ask questions. I will answer them. But I'm going to do the frequently asked questions anyway, whilst you guys think about that. So, why is aura transformation trademarked? And when I first came out with I'm not a founder of aura transformation. I trained in it 4.5 years ago. It must be about 5 years ago. I get confused with time. I went to London and trained in it. I was trained by a wonderful lady called Berit Riva, and Aura Transformation was founded by Annie Senov, and she's the one that wrote the book Balance on All Level. And they trademarked Aura Transformation, rightly so, and I think it's actually an amazing thing that it is trademarked. Because if you have someone working on your energy field, dissolving your old aura and integrating a new aura, you want someone that's been trained and that you know can do that. You don't want to be walking around completely auraless, or like you really want to be careful and discerning about who you allow into your energy field, or who you allow to work on you, like energetic, or for any treatment really. You should be careful. And good evening everyone. You guys are like piling in tonight. I'm just doing frequently asked questions about aura transformation. The questions that people have asked me 1,000 times. If you have any of your own questions, do ask me, and I will answer them. So why is it trademarked? It's a safety thing, I would say. I mean, it's protecting Annie Senov's intellectual property, rightly so, just like a musician with their song, or an author in their book. And I think it shows that you know if there's a trademark, the TM next to the aura transformation, you know that person's been trained by the the aura at the aura mediator courses. And I mean, these numbers might be a bit out of date, but 95,000 people have had an aura transformation, and over 800 people are trained to be aura mediators around the world, and it's spreading all the time. So you really want to make sure that the people doing it know what they're doing. I think it's safe. It's a safety thing. And I remember when I first started, saying that I'm doing aura transformation, people got so annoyed. I think, the kind of people I used to have around me were the kind of, activist, anti-capitalist types, and they were like, the trademark, it's evil. It isn't at all. It is simply to make sure that you're getting, you know what you're getting. What is it? What do you need to know about the Aura Mediator course? So if you wanted to train as an aura mediator, you have to have had the aura transformation at least 2 months before. And I think there's some books that you need to read. Obviously, the Balance on All Levels book by Annie Senov. But I think the Golden Earth, Golden Age, it's something like that. I think you have to read those. I'll check it out and let people know. And the training in January on I've got the dates this time, I'm organised. In Exeter is the 26th, the 29th of January, and as before the training course actually starts, you have a 4-hour other personal session. So individual, you and Sue Jonas Dupuis actually having it's almost like having another aura transformation. It's like a grounding session. And then you go into the taught part of the course, and it's so hands-on. You'll be aura transforming people every day of the course, so you learn as you do. And yeah, it's a fantastic high frequency course. You learn so much, and being in that energy for all those days, just being in the I have attended a course as a observer in July in London, and just being in that space around that energy for all those days is just amazing. And it's just such a huge shift in your personal development, as well as in how you can work with people and impact people. So I highly recommend it. And what else is there to know about the course? Well, you can aura transform people straight away, which is amazing. And you know, yeah, I said amazing probably about 8 times just then. Let's see, what's the next question? Does it work on everybody? So an aura transformation is not for everybody. The first things if people ask me about, you know, they inquire about having an aura transformation, I always ask the same questions. And I've actually automated it all on my website. If you watch the videos, you can answer the questionnaire and fill out a form to talk to me. And the questions are always the same, which is, can you cope with change? Are you dependent on drugs or alcohol, recreational drugs or alcohol? And are you on antidepressants? And your answers to that usually explain enough to know whether or not, you know, it is right for you or not. Because if you are dependent on substances or on antidepressants and you can't cope with change, then it's not a good recipe for transforming your consciousness and doing deep energy work, you know. And in my experience, and different people that do aura transformation might say something different, but in my experience, a good percentage of people that have it done have what I call like an emotional detox kind of thing, you know, like old patterns and old energies come up, you know, old behaviors, old patterns, you know, even people have like flashes of old memories. That kind of stuff happens. And if you're not able to deal with your emotions, thanks for the love and the hearts, guys. It's really nice to see it fly across the screen. Yeah, so it's important to be able to cope with change, because you're transforming your aura, you're expanding your consciousness. And yeah, it's important to be able to cope with that. And otherwise, you know, most people, it's really good for most people. And, you know, it's very rare. Out of, I think I've aura transformed over 250 people now. It might be more than that. I stopped counting. And I'd say there's like it's like a 1%. It's like a 1 or 2% that say, oh, I can't feel anything. And I think that's like any transformational coaching or healing or, you know, that kind of work. There's always going to be someone that it didn't do what they wanted. But what I have noticed in my experience is the people that sit back and expect transformation to happen to them, like they just go, oh, I'll keep watching Netflix and eat rubbish and never exercise and wallow and, you know, do nothing proactive about their transformation. It's not going to do it's not going to do what they wanted. I think the people that have the best results, certainly with aura transformation, is the people that follow the, like, in Annie Senov's book called Get Your Power Back Now and the Little Energy Guide, there's all these little tools and explanations on how to work with your own energy, what happens when someone's annoyed with you, what happens when you're annoyed with them, what happens when you wake up from the wrong side of the bed, how to work with your elements, all this stuff. If you use these, they're very simple and they're like common sense almost. Once you get it, you're like, oh, of course. If you can keep up with that stuff on a daily basis, then you're going to have better results. You're going to be like the really crystal clear person. And I have seen the difference when someone comes, let's say 6 months later for a further balancing after their aura transformation. There's one person that has done absolutely nothing to help themselves, and the other person that has been like quite diligent a few times a day, sorting their energy and doing the work that goes alongside it, feeling the old patterns come up and acknowledging it and letting it go, and doing the compassion work, all of that stuff. If they do that, they're like shiny crystal, radiant, you know, like wow. And it's just so amazing to see. And then the person that's done nothing, still you can tell they've had an aura transformation, but it's not got that clarity and sparkle like the one that's done the work. So yeah, like any transformation, the question was, does it work on everybody? I think it does. And I'm like, I don't understand how people can't feel it. And I've learned over the 4 years that there's some people that are like connect, they feel energy, they're feelers. So there's some people that connect to the feeling of it more. Other people are like visual, they see stuff more. Other people are, you know, like they see it in, what's the word I'm looking for? I've lost the word. That happens on lives. You lose words, they just kind of fly off. Something else. I'm thinking about words, like they read stuff and they see it in words. What I'm saying is that different people experience aura transformation in different ways because they have different ways of perceiving the world, different ways of feeling the world. And sometimes people don't realize that after an aura transformation, like they've got a new job, a new partner, all this amazing stuff heals in their life, their mum starts behaving differently, all that kind of stuff, their kids calm down, but they don't associate it with the aura transformation. So we get that quite a lot as well. So aura transformation, if you're changing your personal energy and the way you relate to the world, then it's going to have it has a big difference to how people connect to you in the world and how their energy is working with yours. So if you change your puzzle pieces, the whole puzzle has to change and shift around you. And so yeah, I do think it works on everyone, but some people have stronger experiences than others. The next question is, I have done no self-development work. Will it work for me? So people that aren't spiritual or not into spirituality, people that are just not done any emotional work. I mean, yeah, it still does work. I've aura transformed scientists, ex-RAF pilots, teachers, car mechanics, massage therapists, fashion magazine editors, musicians, engineers, and shamans. There is no type. I have tried all this niching for aura transformation, and it's impossible to niche for people that have the people I've had as clients. They're from all walks of life, and they all do different things. And there's not even really a common denominator. The other day I said 76 reasons to have an aura transformation, and I'd say, you know, most people can identify with probably a few of them. So it's like really hard to break it down to a type of person. It is not just for spiritual people. I think it's for people that realize something is missing, or something's not quite right, or they've like reached a kind of ceiling, their experiences aren't as they like, they just feel exhausted, they just feel like, you know, some people just don't even understand why they're attracted to aura transformation, but like the book stands out, or the words just they hit them somewhere and they know they need to do this. So yeah, and yeah, there's been some people that you would consider in very 3D masculine jobs, you know, that totally get it and totally know it's the right thing to do. Okay. And it's basically it's for people that want to fast track their development as well, their self-development. And what's lovely to see with the people coming that have never been spiritual before is that they've bypassed like years of meanderings that spiritual people have to do. So it's quite cool as well, because they just they go from A to Z quite quickly, and you're like, wow, that was cool. So yeah, all there is to do, even if you've never done any self-development, is to read the Balance on All Levels book. And there's quite a lot of energy in that book, you know, you pick up quite a lot from just reading the book. You'll feel stuff shifting. And what's also amazing, I said amazing again, is people, the minute that they decide on a conscious level, I am doing this transformation, I am having an aura transformation, the moment that they affirm that to the universe or to themselves, things start shifting. So people weeks, maybe even months before they have an aura transformation feel stuff is changing. Their perception is changing. Their energy levels are shifting. Things have got a bit more of a, like a sparkle or a speed to them. So that's good. Okay. The next question is, I have done years of self-development and spiritual practice. Do I really need this? And this is a good question, because there's a lot of people that are like, oh, I don't need that because I've been doing this, all these different modalities. I've gone to every retreat possible. I've done this, that, and the other. I'm healing myself every day. And I get that. And I still think an aura transformation is incredibly useful and powerful, because a lot of healing modalities today, nothing wrong with them, but they are working on what we call the old aura. So if you have an aura transformation, there's a lot of modalities you won't be really interested anymore. And that won't be really helpful, because you've got the new aura, the crystal aura, which has one heart chakra. The higher self is in the body, not outside, and you don't have the lower mental layer or the astral body and all this stuff of the old aura. You just don't have that. So, and the 7 chakras. So there's a question coming up about that actually. So if really, it's amazing, the more work you do and put into healing what is happening to your old aura and your existing aura, and you're healing, veins here and stories here and ancestral stuff here and thought patterns here. By the time you come around, you have to start doing it all over again. And it's really hard to maintain and balance an old aura like to perfection. I've never met anyone, doesn't matter how spiritual they are and how yogic they are, I've never met anyone with perfect balanced chakra system. It's like spinning 7 plates. It's just really tough. So, yeah, dissolving the old aura for a spiritual person is actually like the cherry on the top. Yes, you've done loads of work. Yes, you've healed loads. Maybe you'll have less of an emotional detox like some people have. But you will have the benefits of not having the old karmic stuff that does still repeat itself possibly, or the ancestral imprints that have been passed down generation from generation to generation, or maybe your mental chatter drives you nuts sometimes because you're really plugged into the collective consciousness. There are all sorts of patterns and reasons. You'd have to read the book to find out more. So I still think it's incredibly important. But, there is this pattern of people, certainly in the UK, of seeking for the next best thing, the next best big thing, the big transformation, the next shift. And after an aura transformation, I mean, that is such a huge shift. That some people say there's not much more to do after the aura transformation. I believe that we're always learning, we're always growing. So I've trained in creative kinesiology, but that's asking the body what's going on in the body. What does the body consciousness and your consciousness have to say in communication with a kinesiologist? So yeah, I think it's up to everyone to paint their, use their paintbrush of how they want their life to look and what kind of modalities they're going to train in and work in. But if you are a spiritual seeker, an aura transformation can really be like, the cherry on the top. It's like the final epic clearing. It's starting off with a new, renewed sense of energy, and it's upgrading your frequency so that it really matches that of the latest evolution of consciousness on the planet. Okay, is this like a magic wand? Am I cheating my karmic lessons? So, no, aura transformation is not like a magic wand. And you are not cheating your karmic lessons. You still have to learn all the lessons that you would have learned the long way around. You're still learning them, but maybe in a heightened, faster. And it's not there. It's not just going to erase all your problems and all your lessons and then you're done. It is giving you the tools, the perspective, the wider heart to deal with all the stuff going on in your life. And often when you dissolve the old aura, you're really less annoyed by stuff going on around you. You're less attached to certain dramas. You can shift through, like sort out a lot of clutter in your life on all levels, mentally, emotionally, physically, in your house, socially. And so it's giving you like a step up and a chance to do your lesson, like really learn deeply what your karmic lessons are about, and give you a chance to, well, for me it completely changed my life in that I sorted through a lot of my karmic stuff and I learned a lot of lessons, and I really could not stop focusing on my dreams, my passion and my purpose. So the next question, how do I know if I have a leaky aura? Well, I have written an article called Is Your Aura Like a Sieve? I think if you put that in Google it might actually come up. Is my aura like a sieve? And there's a little list of questions, but I would say, like, I haven't done it properly, but about 80% of the people that come for an aura transformation have next to no old aura left. It is becoming increasingly more frazzled, more damaged by the foods we eat, the Wi-Fi around us, the constant social media, the children are so high frequency. Even if you've maybe fallen down, I fell down the stairs, but people who have had car accidents, shocks or jolts, that can really damage your aura too. So there's the way you know if you have a leaky aura is that you're absolutely knackered by the end of the day. You're constantly having to do self-care. You feel everyone's energy. You don't know what's yours, what's someone else's. I remember walking down the street and someone looked so cross when they, like a really angry person walked past me, and I'd been quite jolly, and all of a sudden I was like really in a terrible mood, and I was like, hang on a minute. It was so obvious what happened. It was like catching a cold, and I was able to kind of shake it off and let it go. This was before my aura transformation, but I started really realizing that there was some serious damage to my aura, and drugs and alcohol, partying did that too. Really bad heartbreak did that too. So all the shocks and traumas like really rattle your aura structure and mean it's hard to maintain this energetic integrity and vitality. Okay. So yeah, as well, how do I know I have a leaky aura? Is if you consider yourself an empath and hugely sensitive to everyone around you, well, consider that yes, you are an empath, but maybe you also have a damaged energy field. Because I used to, and I do feel everything, but when I'm in a session, I'm feeling everything that's going on for that person in my own body. But I don't carry it with me once they've left. Everything goes away with them. But also, and I'm feeling, I'm a sensitive person, but it's not I don't know how else to explain it, that it's not infiltrating and staying within me like it used to, which was damaging and upsetting and just too much, overwhelming. So it's given me the ability to sort my energy and to not carry other people's energy and just to be a sensitive empath, but yeah, not like a sieve. Okay, so the next question, can I still do yoga or practices that focus on the 7 chakra system? So a lot of people are invested in the 7 chakras, and people have learned modalities or go to classes, and you sat there and you're like, I've had an aura transformation, I've got 1 heart chakra, and they're talking about 7 chakras, how does that work? And all I can say to that is I've been to plenty of yoga classes and meditation things where the chakras are being spoken about, and I just let it kind of go over my head, and I just focus on my heart. So I still have, I still have all my human functions. I have a spine, I have a heart, I have a throat that communicates. I still have all the functions of being a human, and and psychic stuff and connection to source or whatever. I have all these functions going on. I just don't have to focus it around 7 chakras. If they're talking about the throat chakra, I might focus a little bit about communication and how that's doing for me at the moment. But I don't see it or feel it as an energy vortex there. I just concentrate. I filter all my experiences through the heart, and everything, anything that comes to me, I filter through the heart, and everything out as well. I filter all my communication through the heart. So I don't think it matters so much. You know, you can still function in the world of 7 chakras. Like I'm doing a Qigong 7-day flow challenge with Zulu, and they talk about the 7 chakras and that, and it hasn't really bothered me. I'm just focusing on the heart instead, and he was like, yeah, that's cool. So it's not a big deal at all. Lots of people, the first question people always ask me is, Sarah, do you see auras? And yeah, I do, but it's not what you think. It is not a pink bubble or a blue bubble or a purple bubble or a green bubble or a yellow bubble or orange bubble. It's not like that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to break it to people, but those photos are probably, you know, they are like, what is it, thermal imaging of some kind? I don't, Kirlian photography. So they are photographing auras, but I do not see people's auras as all these different colours. Maybe some people do see it that way. What I'm seeing isn't particularly pleasant. So if someone asks me that when I'm out and about, like, oh, can you look at my aura? What's my aura like? I refuse to, I call it shift my eyes dimensionally. I don't like looking at people's private auras when walking around out of town, because if I shift my eyes, I have trained myself to see energy, and I did so for many, many years before I even heard about aura transformation. I used to make balls of energy, mess around with energy, and eventually seeing energy, and I've just practiced and practiced and practiced until I can kind of switch on this other vision. And basically I think what's going on is that you're seeing energy that's there that most people can't see, because you're altering your frequency on some level. And what people's auras look like, it's not particularly nice. So if I switch my eyes on and I'm out and about and I'm looking at one person's aura, I'll be seeing everyone's, and it's not nice, you know. And some people, you know, there's darker patches, there's tearing, there's stuff. I have seen a few times the ancestral imprint, negative ancestral imprint on someone, and it is like infinity mirrors, like a terracotta army, a pattern that looks like a figure following people, not following people, coming off the aura like infinity mirrors. You know, when you look in the mirror and you see it go on and on and on and on. I've seen that, and when you have the aura transformation, that clears. And if it's been particularly abusive in an abusive pattern or victim abuse pattern in the family line, so I imagine that every bit of that infinity mirror, each one is a generation, and it's a pattern that is so old and so ancient and so ingrained that the person coming for an aura transformation is actually powerless to that pattern almost. And they, you know, you might be fully aware of it, but you don't know how to shift it, how to move it, and it can be really annoying, because you just go, once you find out what's holding you back, but you don't have the tools to move it along, then it's frustrating. It's like, oh, it's the, you know, that, what's the word, you know, waking up in the dream, and you know, you think, yay, I'm awakening. Oh my God, everything looks horrible now. You know, so it's not always the easiest path. And what else do I notice things like the elements. I can see people's elements, you know, are they more fire, water, earth people? Are they really grounded or not grounded? Are they really away with the fairies? I can really feel the masculine and feminine energies and how they mix. So when I use my eyes to see, my other eyes to see people's auras, it is kind of like quite messy, you know. There's quite a lot going on and there's a lot to notice. But every single person, and this is something beyond the aura, every single person has their own frequency or blueprint or purpose. Everyone has different ways of what they want to call it. The higher self. It's like every person has their own it's like a fingerprint, an energetic fingerprint. And the old aura gets so busy and full and crowded with rubbish that we have in our world, that fingerprint and that song that is your spirit gets crowded and it can't come out. And you just see people walking around like heavy, ashen and grey, and like they don't know what's wrong with them. And I think it's just, we need to peel back these layers, and an aura transformation is like a kaboom. you know, like let's clear this stuff out of the way so that you can shine and be the full true you. God, this is a long live. Okay. A lot of people ask me, my child is difficult, can you work on them? So they say, you know, like, oh, the problem's not with me, it's my kid, is being a pain, is being difficult, is showing all these behaviours. And the first thing I would always say is, well, you know, what I've been trained to say too is that we do not work on the child, we work on the parent. And it's obvious. The children, the crystal indigo children, they're coming and they're reflecting back to you what you are pretending is not wrong with you. And often they're reflecting stuff back to us. So if you have, say you have the 7 chakra system, you're blocked here from some childhood thing, your heart's, you know, shut down, maybe broken or something, you know, you're hiding, you're armoring this area, your mind's all over the place, and you're not grounded or whatever, and you're telling your child to behave in a certain way, to be in a certain way, you know, you really are, you're giving different mixed messages, and the child can feel that on some level. So they start reflecting back to you. So they're like, well, why are you telling me to do one thing? You're doing another, and you're telling, you know, like, it's just all so mixed up, and the children are reflecting that back to their parents. So the parents are like, oh my God, my child's being so difficult. And I think that a lot of the time it's a reflection on where the parent is. So the first thing you do is you aura transform the parent, and it is amazing to see the shifts in children when a parent has an aura transformation, because you're matching their frequency. You're upgrading your aura structure to what children have got already innate, and you're embodying your higher self when they're already embodied. So then you have 2 embodied people, spirits, meeting each other, the child and the parent. And it just makes life so much easier for everyone. There's so much more clarity, so much more, there's so much calmer. And living in a house with crystal children, it is like living in a kind of candy floss, effervescent energy. It's just lovely. It's so much more peaceful and joyful and silly, and you can just let go of all your baggage, you know. And children really benefit from you doing inner healing, outer inner healing. And yeah, I think it's amazing. It's changed Isla's life as much as mine, to be honest, my daughter. Okay, did I say everything? So, okay, people often ask me, what happens if my partner doesn't have it? So, like, you're in a couple and only, it tends to be women, to be honest, but anyway, it doesn't really matter, but one of the couple isn't going to have it, or maybe isn't even going to know about it, apparently. I always say I would tell them, but some people don't. So, what I always say is, if the love is there, it does not matter. Because if you're embodied your higher self, you've expanded your consciousness, you've got the crystal aura, you're doing deep inner healing, and your partner isn't, if the love that you have for each other is spirit to spirit, it's like, you know, deep, real love, then that's always going to be there. You're just the one that's had the aura transformation, might be sparklier, lighter, and happier, and that will only make the partner happy. Like, why would the partner not be happy to see their partner shining and feeling more in their own power and in their own skin? I think the only reason when it might be a problem is if you already know it's a problem. If your relationship isn't right and it's not working, then it might give you the, you know, the power to make the move that you need to make. That's all I can say about that, really, is that it doesn't affect relationships negatively if there was nothing to be worried about in the first place. Anything else about that? Well, it's been fun aura transforming couples, one half of a couple, because often like half the couples, the people I've done that have not done, the couple have not done it, the other half has not done it. Half of them have come back and had it done a few months later, because they've seen that the change is consistent and gets better with time. Oh, and just the other part of that is that when you have an aura transformation, your expanded consciousness. So yes, there is an element that the couple, the other half, well, there'll be an element of of the other half that didn't have it will not see your full you in all potential, if that makes sense. There'll be like a layer or band of your being that they just won't know, they won't see it. But it doesn't matter if that is already the case. Like if you already had really different interests, and if you already had different, you did different things with your time, that you had separate lives on some level, then it's not going to change anything, because it's just like another little layer of your consciousness that maybe they're not aware of, and maybe that's not a problem. Okay. Do you aura transform couples, and can you do them at the same time? No, I can only do one at a time. I have aura transform many couples, one after the other though, like in a day. And I think that's such a beautiful thing to do at the same time, because then you can share and know each other's experience. And it just clears a lot of the, triggers and maybe stuff that can get in the way of a harmonious relationship, like old patterns or old triggers, traumas, childhood stuff, ancestral stuff, karmic stuff. And yeah, so if two people have an aura transformation, then both their karma is dissolved towards each other. So it's like a lot clearer in between them. If one person in the couple has an aura transformation and the other doesn't, then one still has the karma towards the other. So that it's felt by both, but maybe at a lesser extent. Another question is, where is it? When do I know I have crystallized? So people that have had an aura transformation, they ask, how do I know if I'm 100% crystallized? Usually it takes 9 months to a year and a half, and it varies, and I just say it doesn't really matter and let it go. There's no race. There's no need to know. That you could muscle test, how much percentage crystallized are you, but I don't really think it matters. There's no race. And what's interesting about it, and I remember from years ago when it started with me, you might crystallize, say, like 20%, let's say 80% in 6 months, and then it takes another year to do the next 20%. So it's really hard to know. It's not a uniform, organized process. Like the different things are crystallizing at different times, and it's kind of random, I guess. Can I go to work after having my aura transformation? People ask, like, can they go back? Do they have to be careful? Do they have to book an extra day off? I mean, if you can, that's great. But there's a lot of people that have to go back to busy families. I had to go on the London Underground and stay with some friends. So, there's no, you have to go and experience your normal life to even notice exactly what's shifting. And so it's totally fine to have a busy family time or go back to work. But I always suggest going for a little walk. I think that's a nice thing to do. Even if it's just 10 minutes in nature, to just connect with your own new energy, connect with nature. It looks amazing. A lot of people say it's like having HD vision. People ask, do you need to prepare before an aura transformation? And I would say reading the book is the essential thing. Just reading Balance on All Levels. That is the only prerequisite. And yeah, I mean, this is not something I'm being told, but I would avoid alcohol for a couple of days, maybe just at least a couple of days before, just because it doesn't mix very well with the crystal energy, and just make it easier for yourself. What about drugs and alcohol? So it's important to not have taken recreational drugs 6 months prior to your aura transformation. And yeah, I mean, it's just because we're working with your consciousness on a deep level, on your energy and your consciousness. So you don't want to be taking mood altering, things that alter your consciousness. And then it's just all different planet energies as well. It's like mixing oil and water. So it's best to lay off that stuff. So, like, if you think about alcohol, crystal energy is looking for balance in your system. So it's looking for balance in your elements, balance in your masculine, feminine. It's always looking for this balance, the crystal energy. So if you pour alcohol in, that is trying to make an imbalance. It's trying to you know, you see people on alcohol, they're like wobbling around. So mixing the two energies of alcohol and crystal energy is a bit of a funny combination. Obviously, nothing terrible will happen to you if you have a drink, except you might have a pretty horrible hangover. I mean, I have a drink now. I'm talking about a day or two before your aura transformation, and I used to suggest don't drink for 2 months after, and most people really don't want to. It just doesn't taste right for a bit. But yeah, it's up to you at the end of the day. I'm not going to tell you how to do things. Okay, is taking antidepressants okay when having an aura transformation? And that is a big no. And I talk to a lot of people about if they are on antidepressants, you know, if they want to come off their medication, then to do it properly with a doctor's advice, to come off it incredibly slowly, but also to know that aura transformation is a wonderful thing, like a light at the end of the tunnel, to know that that is something you're going to do on the other side. But from the day you stop, I think at least 6 months between having an aura transformation, from stopping the medication and having an aura transformation. I think it's very important, because you need to be when you come off antidepressants, you have the kind of like the old emotions that you were struggling with coming up, and you need to learn to deal with that stuff. You need to find the tools or the strength or will to deal with your emotional stuff. And if you can't deal with it, then you're not ready for an aura transformation. But I've worked a lot with people that have, you know, maybe they weren't supposed to be on antidepressants. Like they went to the doctor with a twitchy eye or something, and they ended up with antidepressants. Or people that have been on them so long and they don't know why they're on them, or they've come off them, they're on the tiniest dose and it's time to stop. You know, there's like so many different kinds of people. I wouldn't come off it if you really need them. And always with doctor's advice and always done properly. Oh, and this is a little bit like the last one. Just what should I do after my session? I always say go for a little walk, connect with nature, connect with yourself. Maybe don't put the phone on, don't hang out with other people, don't go into shops. And just spend a little bit of time in your own energy, feeling what that feels like. And then just get on with your life. And I remember, you know, always trying to catch my new aura after my aura transformation, because you're like, what's this all about? And how does it feel? And it's not until you start doing your normal routines, seeing people that you usually see going into work or whatever, that you start really noticing the big stuff. So I don't know, I've probably been talking for ages, guys. Well, it's a real pleasure to do these lives. And if you have any questions, do let me know. And so the training is on the 26th to the 29th in Exeter, if you wanted to train as an aura mediator. And of course, I'm available in Exeter. I have a beautiful practice behind the cathedral. And I'll be in Lancaster in February. And I'm in Geneva, Switzerland, over the holidays as of the 18th of December. So I move around, and if you are interested, hop onto my website withsarahj.com. You can put your email in and get 4 videos explaining all you need to know. Oh, thanks, Britt Marie. I just did the frequently asked questions. That's what this was about. And they're all on my website. And yeah, so it'd be a total pleasure to be your aura mediator, or go and find an aura mediator near you. And yeah, lots of love.